Operator error on the dock location. Is that what that is? Hey, I'm Mark Romanack, and welcome to another episode of Fishing 411. This week we're in beautiful Lake City, Michigan on Lake Missaukee. The focus for today, catch and release. Stick around, see what that's all about. 73 degrees. This is definitely a good boat too. With all these short fish, we might as well give them a chance to have some fun in here
too. Offshore Tackle presents Fishing 411 with Mark Romanack.
Gobbled up there. Look at that, he's in the bag. Look at this!
Fishing 411 is brought to you by Offshore Tackle, the leader in trolling technology. Okuma, high performance. Vicious Fishing. Northwest Ontario Tourism, there's no place like this. Jay's Sporting Goods, get in gear. And by Yakima, home of the rooster tail.
You know, Michigan's one of a number of different states that has special catch and release bass fishing seasons. Normally these are associated early in the season so that people can have a fishing opportunity prior to the bass actually coming into spawning. Michigan's regular bass season doesn't open until the Memorial Day weekend, so this is way in advance of that. So all the fish we catch today have to go back, but at least we get to have fun catching some bass. One of the neat things about early season bass fishing is you can eliminate a lot of unproductive water real easily. Water's any deeper than about 3 or 4 feet, eliminate it. You don't even have to consider that. These early season bass are going to look for the warmest available water, and that typically is the shallowest available water. And so what we're doing is we're just pounding the banks and pounding the shorelines anywhere from a foot of water out to about 3 foot of water, and that's where you're going to find the warmest water, that's where you're going to find minnows, and that's where you're going to find the bass.
In these back bays, we have black bottoms, and that'll actually warm the water up a little bit faster. And so what we're doing here is we're just kind of cruising along the bank. We have the electric motor on constant, and we're just trying to find fish. These fish aren't everywhere, and they're in little pods. You'll find fish with little pockets of fish, and you'll sit on there and catch a couple fish, and then you'll keep moving on. What we're looking for is we're looking for just pods of fish. When we find those, we'll kind of camp on those, cast to those until we catch them, and then we'll move on and find some new fish. But right now we're just kind of looking around, coming around these little corners right here. And right now the surface temperature in this water is actually 67, so that's plenty warm for these fish to be cruising around, and they're hungry.
I take it that bite was kind of subtle.
I couldn't tell.
Oh, you just that.
You go.
He must have just barely sucked it in.
Yeah, I was like, man, is that floating weeds that we've seen, or is that a fish? I can't tell.
Very cool, Jakers. Just a little tip from the old man, you might want to set the hook next time. All right. Ooh, he's a lively one.
Yeah, this warm water, they're pretty crazy. Try to keep them down so we don't lose them here.
Well, that's good fish. You want a net on that one?
If you want to.
Yeah, we'll get him on
the net. Decent little fish.
There we go.
There we go.
I'm going to keep him right there for a second. Are you ready for him?
Yep, we're good.
All right, there you go.
Get him right out of the net right here.
That's what we're talking about.
That's a pretty decent little fish. There we go. We got him off right there. That's a pretty decent little bass right there. If we can go around and catch a couple more of those, man, they're spunky in this warm water. They're jumping all over the place and they're a handful. This little guy right here feels like a 10-pound fish when you catch him. It's absolutely huge fish. There you go, Dad, how about that?
Cool beans, buddy. Let's go.
Well, we'll get him back in the water and hopefully there'll be lots more to go. There we go, here you go.
Well, Jake and I are going to take turns on the electric motor. This style of fishing is such that the man in the front of the boat is hitting the fish first, he's getting the most active fish. So it really is a good idea. Oh, there's one. Really is a good idea to take turns, so to speak. All right. I want him to jump and get off. Whoa, there's a little guy. Whew. Let me get a hold on you. All right. Small, but fun.
Additional considerations provided by Evinrude Outboards and Starcraft Marine. Additional considerations provided by Ontario's Algoma Country.
Hey, Dad, whatever happened to taking turns there, huh?
I'm gonna try to get an extra cast in on you. All right, all right, all right. Fair's fair. I'm getting back boated by my own boy.
You know, one essential piece of equipment when you're doing this style of fishing is having a good pair of sunglasses. Not only are they good for your eyes, but it's also protecting your eyes. It's taking the glare off the water. You know, people make fun of me because they say I have coon eyes, but you know, I don't really care. I like using these style sunglasses, the polarized sunglasses, and I think they give me an edge. I catch a couple more fish because I can see the fish, cuts the glare down on the water, and it's the way to go.
You know, we're calling this episode Catch and Release Bass, and the reason for that is that Michigan has a special Catch and Release Bass season. The last Saturday of April is when it opens, and that's when you can get into some world-class bass fishing. Most people don't even have a clue how good the fishing is that early in the season. When people think of bass fishing, they think of jigs. They're a pretty common lure that people use for bass fishing, but not generally speaking early in the season like this. And we used a unique kind of jig called a swimming jig, and literally that's what we were doing is we were pitching these jigs out. They were tipped with soft plastics, and we were slowly reeling them in and just swimming them through the water column. I know that doesn't sound very traditional for bass fishing, but it worked, and it worked like a charm. Double header here, Jake.
Yeah.
All right, but I got one chasing too. They are definitely in here in some numbers. Oh, fun
Yours is
stuff.
a little bit bigger than mine there, Dad.
A little bit, but not much.
Go ahead and throw these back.
All right, I'll give you a shot at the electric motor there, buddy. Make me proud. I know that's a good place to cast back in there because I had 3 following that out. We're fishing out of a new boat today. It's made by Starcraft. It's also produced in the Smoker Craft line. It's called the Freedom, and it's a utility deep V, and it's intended for a guy who wants to do a lot of different things. Obviously some fishing like we're doing today, but also maybe a little bit of hunting. Wide open floor plan, just a flat floor with various seat-based configurations. This one happens to be a tiller. It's going to allow us to do a lot of unique things with a relatively small boat. This one's just a little over 18 foot long, got about an 89-inch beam. So this is a very nice boat for a whole multitude of fishing and hunting applications. That isn't much of a fish. You're going to really call that a fish? All right, I'll give you credit, it's a fish. It's breaking the surface of the water. It's a much better fish.
That's a little bit better fish, there we go.
Yeah, that's a way to do it. Excellent.
You know, they're not huge fish, but it's real steady action.
Well, what we're doing in this presentation is actually pretty easy. That we're casting swim jigs and we're just slowly retrieving them back. That part of it's easy. The more difficult part of this presentation is having some accuracy in your casting, being able to hit targets you're throwing at. We're throwing around docks and boats and that kind of stuff, seawalls, weeds that we can see, emergent vegetation that we can actually see. And so being able to cast accurately is important. One of the better ways to learn how to cast is not necessarily in the water, but right out in your backyard. You can go in the backyard where nobody's going to laugh at you, and you can practice all you want until you get efficient at casting and get some skills together, and then take that out on the water and put the smack down on some nice fish.
You know, tipping these swimming jigs are actually pretty easy with your trailers. All you're going to end up doing is you'll push the little guard down and you'll hook it straight around like that. When you slide it up the shank of the hook, there's actually a little bar back here that'll hold on to it, so when fish pull it, it can't pull it off. We're averaging about 5 to 6 fish on these little trailers, so you don't go through a lot of them, but it's good to have quite a few in the boat. Another thing is you can experiment with different colors. This is a brown one, obviously, but we have some blue ones in the boat, and we also have some white ones for darker water.
Oh man, this is fun. What a great way to shake off the winter blues and enjoy a little spring fishing action. Holy smokes. That is a good time. Hey, that's a pretty good one, Jake. May have to help you with the landing net on that one. Oh, I think you're okay on that one.
Oh, not as big as I thought. Like I said before, though, these fish are just on fire. They're nice, healthy, thick fish. Not huge, but just a riot to catch.
Additional considerations provided by Bert's Custom Tackle. American made, American pride. Mark Romanack's Fishing 411 is brought to you in part by O.J. Herman Company.
You know, the method we're doing today is throwing swimming jigs. There's many different kinds of swimming jigs out there made by many different manufacturers. We're actually tipping this trailer with the swimming jig with the trailer, and these trailers are nothing more than just a little soft plastic with the tail that gives the bait a little bit of action. The best way I can kind of explain these swimming jigs is if you've ever thrown spinner baits, it's kind of like a spinner bait without a spinner. If you've ever slow rolled a spinner bait and casted it back, that's pretty much what it is. The benefit of these baits is you can cast and cover lots of water. It's a lot more efficient than throwing soft plastics because you can cast and reel back fairly fast. What triggers these bites is there's not a lot of action to them, just a little bit of flip with the tail, and in this cold water, that's enough to trigger these bass.
I believe it would be my turn in the bow.
That's good because the wind's blowing on this side, and
so it's getting a little too tough for you?
I just don't feel like doing it anymore.
Okay.
My arms are sore from all the fish you're not catching.
You know, at this latitude in northern Michigan where I live, you have to understand, the last Saturday of April, the water's very cold, the bass are in very shallow water because that's the warmest available water in the lake. So in northern Michigan, when you're targeting these pre-spawn bass in this catch and release bass season, you are definitely going to be fishing for fish in knee-deep water or shallower.
It's a better fish so Pops.
It's a good fish, isn't it? Yeah.
That's a decent little fish right there. That's a pretty decent little fish there, Dad. I don't know, about a 1.5, 2 pounder. Nothing huge, but still, it's a riot. It's good to finally be off the ice and catching some water, and catching them on some soft water.
Well, one of the accessories that I've mounted in this boat is a Bert's Custom Tackle rod corral. It just slips right into the seat-based mount, which means I can put it in and take it out whenever I want. And for organizing rods, literally all I have to do is just drop the rod in here. It's got a little lever, pull the lever, pop the rod in, it's good to go. So I can leave the rods right here for traveling from spot to spot. Don't have to worry about them getting tangled up. It's a beautiful accessory to keep your boat organized.
There's a fish. There we go. It's a pretty decent fish. This one came right off that shelf right there. With my sunglasses, I was able to see that little sand shell. I casted right on the edge of that, and he was right on that dark water edge. Look at that double header. 2 nice fish right here. There we go.
Oh, Jakers.
There we go, Dad. That's not too bad.
Yeah.
Starting to get a little bit bigger, huh?
Well, they're not the biggest fish, but they sure are abundant, and we're having a lot of fun getting them. That's the important thing.
Yeah.
Most of the presentations that we're going to do today can be done with either a bait casting rig or a spinning rig. I personally prefer a spinning rig for a lot of this because the stuff that we're throwing is pretty light. I've got an 8-pound test monofilament line on a 7-foot 6-inch medium light or medium action spinning rod. And to me, that works real well for throwing these jigs. We're going to throw some other lures like jerkbaits. We're going to throw some soft body plastics as well. So all of those things can be thrown very well on spinning rods.
You know, Dad, I'd have to agree with you to the most part. When you're casting lighter bait, you definitely would like a spinning reel. However, today, I'm using a bait caster. Ever since I was younger, I was always watching those bass guys on TV, and I wanted to be just like them. So oh, you got a nice one there, Pops. Messed me right up is what you did.
I hate it when that happens. You can tell I really hate that when that happens.
For this style of fishing, there's nothing I like more than throwing a bait caster. I like that power of really getting to reef on those fish and crossing their eyes when I set the hook. I also like a little bit further distance I can get casting. You know, it's always personal preference, but I personally prefer a bait caster.
I gotta get this old electric motor off here. We're going the wrong direction on him. Holy smokes. Let me turn this boat around here where it belongs.
Still got him?
Oh yeah. Now we got what we're
yeah,
looking
Dad,
for.
that's what we're looking for. Nice big old crease one. There we go.
Well, that's what we're talking about. That's what Lake Missaukee has got its reputation about. You see her big old fat belly, that's a hen. She hasn't spawned yet. We're gonna get her unhooked and right back in the water so she can do what she's gotta do. There you go, sweetheart.
Additional considerations provided by Lowrance Electronics. Find, navigate, dominate. Additional considerations provided by Mustang Survival. We save lives for a living. And Bait Rigs Tackle.
Well, that's good fish. You want a net on that one? There we go.
There we go.
What a great way to shake off the winter blues and enjoy a little spring fishing action. Holy smokes.
We got him off right there. That's a pretty decent little bass right there.
The lake where we caught these largemouths is a place called Lake Missaukee. It's near Lake City, Michigan, in Missaukee County. This is a very popular fishing destination. Lots of people come here to fish bass and other species, but most people don't fish this early in the season. In April, during the catch and release season, in early May, it's lights out for largemouth.
There we go. It's not too bad of a fish there.
No.
There we go, a little double head. We'll count that as a double
You'll count
header.
that as a double header? All right.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Did I set the hook hard enough that time, son? Wow. You know, Lake Missaukee is a pretty good sized body of water, and these bass aren't going to be everywhere. You really do want to concentrate on the shallow water, the back bays, the coves, that type of stuff is where the water's going to warm first and where you're going to have the best action. A little later in the spring, as the water warms up, these fish will naturally move into deeper water. But right now, right after ice out, when it's still, the water's still cool, stick to the skinny water. You'll be glad you did. Look at that. This fish just bit a jerkbait, and but the vast majority of the fish that we've caught today, the vast majority, have been caught on swim jigs. And this one, oh boy, get him unhooked there. Woo, he's trying to hook me. I don't like that. Okay. You know, the vast majority of the fish that we've caught today have been on the swim jigs. Other good presentations in the springtime like this typically are jerk baits and also what people call swim baits. Just soft plastic bodies with no weight in them, just a hook in them. Those are good presentations as well. And any given day, one might produce a little bit better than the other. And today, the jigs definitely got it going on. That seems to be what's working best in our fishing today.
Look at that. These fish want these jigs, Dad.
I think we got to make it illegal to fish jigs in this water. All right, you convinced me. I'm going back to a jig. Only so much abuse I can take here. There's another jerkbait fish. Yeah. The jerkbait strikes again, but I'm thinking I'm going to have to go back to the jig because, boy, I'm telling you, just not as many bites today. But when they hit a jerkbait, man, they just unload on it.
You know, over the last couple of years, I've gotten used to throwing these swimming jigs, and I've caught a lot of fish on them. In these northerly lakes, I've actually found out that a little bit darker color will do you well. But I've also found out that they make lighter colored jigs If the water's a little bit dirtier, you can try using some lighter colored jigs. However, today we're using some darker colors and they're doing just fine for us.
Right in the lower lip. That had to hurt. That had to hurt. Well, that's a good one, Jake.
That's a better fish. Yeah. There we go. And these are just chunky, healthy fish, aren't they, Dad? Huh?
I don't think mine, mine came off.
Came off, huh? All right, we'll get this guy there back in the water. Try not to hit the bank.
Not bad fish.
Lively fish, let me tell you.
2-pounder. I'm throwing a little bit different colors because I'm fishing behind Jake. I don't want to throw exactly the same color that he's throwing, so he's got a brown jig, I got a black jig, and just so it's a little bit different. Occasionally, if he misses a fish and I throw a black jig in behind it, there's a chance that I can catch that fish. So mixing up the colors a little bit, making lots of casts, and man, we've been having just an absolute riot out here. That's a little bit better fish right there. That's what we're looking for, son. Oh, nicely done.
That's what we're looking for, Dad.
That's what we're after right there. Yeah, that is a sweet spring largemouth. Hey, I'm Mark Romanack, and you've been watching Fishing 411. I hope you learned a thing or two about spring bass fishing. Get out early, get out often, and get yourself some nice largemouth.
Closed captioning for Fishing 411 has been brought to you by Cranberry Creek Marina on Lake Erie at Ruggles Beach. Fishing 411 has been brought to you by Offshore Tackle, Okuma, Vicious Fishing, Northwest Ontario Tourism, Yakima Bait, and Jay's Sporting Goods.
I disagree with you on this one. For this style of fishing, there's nothing I like more than throwing a bait caster. Oh!
Good deal, we got it.
I'm done.
We got it.
Oh!
And that's why you don't use bait casting gear.
It's over for me.
It's over.